Hi fellow crafters. How many Christmas cards do you send each year? 10? 20? More than 50? If you send a lot of holiday cards each year, I am sure you're looking for an easy design, but one that packs a wow factor. And in today's video, I have the perfect suggestion for you. If this is the first time you're visiting my YouTube channel, welcome. My name is Terry and I am nuts about stamping. I love sharing project ideas for rubber stamping, paper crafting, and scrapbooking with you each week. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button and the bell beside it so that you'll be the first to be notified when my next video goes live. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator yet, I would love for you to choose me. I'll link to my online stores in the description box under this video. Now, let's get going on this really pretty but very easy Christmas card idea that is fun to mass produce. One of my hot tips for this card idea is to choose a designer series paper pattern that tells a little story or that creates a lot of visual interest. The color scheme and the tree images in the Walk in the Forest pack make this paper a natural fit for winter crafting. You can use it to accent your holiday cards, which is what we're going to be doing today, but you can also use this paper for gift tags. When I create my Christmas cards each year, I always use a basic white card base for the cards that I'm going to be mailing overseas. I try to avoid colored card bases because then I would have to add a basic white layer inside to write on, which adds extra weight and cost to each card. So, because this is one of the cards that I'm going to be mass producing to send overseas this year, I'm going to use basic white as the card base. Now, what I've done is I've taken a piece of the Walk in the Forest designer series paper, and I'm going to adhere that to the card base. But before I do that, I want to add just a little bit of visual interest to this card, and I'm going to do that by embossing it with one of the Basics 3D embossing folders. Now, the Basic 3D pack has 3 folders in it, and each one is lovely, but I want to choose one that's going to be quite subtle because I don't want to compete with the interest that's created by the designer series paper. So I'm going to go over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to emboss this entire card front. Back in a moment. There we go. I've got this embossed. So we've got the innies and we've got the outies. And I think for this card front, I'm going to have the outies showing. And now I'm going to adhere this strip of designer series paper so that you can still see some of the embossed section of the card front showing. Again, it adds just a little bit of touch of visual interest and maybe a little bit more sophistication. Back in a moment. All right, I've got that drying. One thing I didn't point out to you is that this card design helps you use up your designer series paper, but because you're only using a strip of it, you can create more cards from one pack of designer series paper. Now I have another just leftover strip but from the same pack, and I'm just going to add that as another piece of visual interest on the front of my card. The next thing I want to do is create a phrase for the front of my card, and I'm going to use the Brightest Glow stamp set and the 'Tis the Season stamp. I love this set because you've got phrases for the outside of the card and phrases for the inside of the card. So it's a great value to have a stamp set that you can use both outside and inside. And I'm going to ink it up and stamp it down using Pretty Peacock, which is one of the colors in the designer series paper. That horribly crooked, but that's okay because now I'm going to use one of my Something Fancy dies, and I'm going to die cut it out using my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Back in a moment. All right, I have my phrase already die cut and ready to go, but really what I would like to do is have a layer underneath that just to make it stand out a little bit on my card front. But unfortunately, the pack of dies that I have does not have another die that's a layer a bit broader than that or a bit wider than that. So I'm going to show you a really cool trick. I have a scrap piece of balmy blue and I'm going to die cut out another one of these tags exactly the same size as the one that I used for the phrase. So I'll do that and I'll show you what we're going to do with it. Okay, I've got my second one die cut out. Now what I'm going to do is bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm just going to eyeball about the halfway point, and I'm going to cut this tag in half like so. Now I'm going to take some multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to turn my phrase layer over, and I'm going to put some glue on the two ends, and then the first one I'm going to adhere down like that, and the second one the same, trying to keep about the same distance. And then because it's multi-purpose liquid glue, you can slide it around a little bit, and look at that. It looks like I have a layered tag, but I don't. I just have a really cool trick that I can use when I want to add a little bit of color contrast between my phrase and the card base. So I'll let this dry, and then we're going to adhere it to the card front. I could adhere my phrase flat, but I decided to use some Stampin' Dimensionals, and I don't want to cover up the bear. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my phrase at the top of my card, which is something a little bit unusual for me, but I really like the look of it. And now it's time to talk embellishments. I decided, after quite a deliberation, to use some of my iridescent pearls, basic jewels. I didn't really want my embellishments to be the standout feature on my card. Again, I want my designer series paper to be what's really noticeable for this card. So I'm going to add a few of these, and I'll show you what the final product looks like. Would you like to see more easy Christmas card ideas? Then type easy cards in the comments under this video. And if you're interested in my tip for making 50 or more cards in a very quick and easy way, I will provide a link over to my blog article where I will show you the products I used, the measurements for cutting all of the layers, and the ordering numbers in case you want to order these products to make this card at home. But I'll also include my tip for making 50 or more Christmas cards in about a week. Doesn't take that much time using my handy dandy system. I'm Terry. I am nuts about stamping. I'll see you at the next video. Bye for now.